In this week's video, we're going to follow a simple prompt to write a song. We're going to use the second degree of a scale in every chord, or almost every chord, to write a song. And that is going to be our guidelines. That's going to be the thing that directs us through this song. So let's get started. What I'm talking about when we talk about the second degree of a scale, if I'm doing something like a C, the second note in the key of C major is a D. There's a couple chords I can take advantage of here. I can do something called a C add 9, where I take the C and I add the ninth there, which is the ninth is also the second, right? It's the D. And what that does is it still has the third in it. And that third lets me know this is a major chord. So in this case, it's an E. That gives me that information. I can also do what's called a sus2 chord. And the sus2 chord has the C, it has the G, that is the fifth, it has the octave C, and then it has a D, which is the ninth. But there's no third, so it leaves a little ambiguity there. I don't know if it's a major or minor chord, but that is something we can also use to our advantage. So the inspiration for me was I've been listening to a lot of shoegaze music, especially My Bloody Valentine, and there's a song called Loomer from Loveless. Here's some of the chords in it. There's an intro, starts with a G to a B flat sus2. There'll be a link below to a video where a gentleman shows all the chords and how to play this song. And he plays along with the original track, so if you're not familiar with it, check that out. And in the verse, we have a G major 7. It's a gorgeous chord. A C sus2. A B flat sus2. Back to a C sus2. So we've got those sus2 chords, and you can see now where my inspiration is coming from. I was looking at a bunch of Kevin Shields stuff. He really does use a lot of chords with extensions on them. And then there's a chorus, which is that G major 7 again. And then there is a C add 9. And then it goes back to the intro and then verse and chorus. I just want to take that idea, that essence of it that I pulled from it, which was the sus2 chords, the add 9 chords, and even the major 7. I like that as well. So can I write a song with that? When I started working with this, I just started trying to come up with sus2 chords and add 9 chords. Sus2 chords, really simple to come up with all over the neck. I was just started looking for the add 9 chords all over the neck, and the C add 9 is one that was used ad nauseum, especially in the 90s, because you had that D ringing out. But I started looking at other places to do an add 9 or a sus2. And I was looking at a D sus2. I was looking at an E add 9. The C add 9. I started playing with that. And then the G sus2. And so I just started playing that in different variations. But what I settled on is I kind of did a descending thing where I started at the E, down to D, to C, to G, and with it, E add 9. But I don't just want to pedal on that, so I'm doing E add 9 to E. I'm doing a D sus2 to a D5. I actually leave these both as ambiguous chords. But I'm continuing that motion down with that second note down to the root of the chord. And then I go to C, add 9 to C. to a G, sus2. But as this is the end of my my 4 chords here, I didn't just want to follow down to the root. I actually went up to the 3rd to really give it resolution. And there's a nice ringing here because it's a B, and then there's an open B. So I get the... And that, I really like that driving. If I was playing it really driving, it reminds me of Teenage Riot by Sonic Youth, something like that. And so what I wound up with was for the A section, I'm calling this the A section. And then I start over. And so that's a really simple A section, but I do like that. I like the motion of it, and I like the way it resolves. For the B section, sometimes you have some things that you've been holding on to for a while, and you can't find a place for it. So in this case, this is actually, I'm going to look at a couple of other songs here that, sometimes you hear a song and there's a chord in it. It really catches your ear, and you think, oh, what is that chord? And you learn it, and you think, again, I think I've talked about this in other videos. I'm going to put that in my back pocket for a while. Maybe someday I can use this. So in the Jeff Buckley song Lover, You Should Have Come Over from the album Grace, there is a C sharp minor 7 with a flat 5 chord that always caught my ear. And that is in the part where he says something along the lines of too young to hold on, too old to break free and run, or something along those lines. He does a little walk up. And I really like that. The next chord he does, this is a bonus, I'm not going to use this chord, but it's an F sharp 7 flat 13. That's also really nice. Put that one in the back pocket for another time. So I've got this C sharp minor 7 flat 5, and I was trying to think of the motion I wanted to go to, and I was thinking of using, there was in Loomer, there's that major 7th chord. If I go to C major 7, it's a nice little descending. So I like that. So I thought, okay, where can I go from there? And then I started thinking of more chords from songs I really liked. And in the song "A Ballad of El Gudo" by Big Star, there's I'm not in the right key right now because he's capoed, I think, at 6. But if I play it here, it's where he goes is this E flat, but the voicing of it is like a C. He's taking a C shape and going up the neck, and you get this nice ringing of the thirds on the G here. And again, it gives me that Sonic Youthy thing. So I really like that. And then I want to resolve to G. So what I wound up with is this. So I do that, I think, 3 times to resolve at the G. And then the last time I play in E flat, but I do the add 9, so I get the nice ringing, but I'm doing the add 9, again bringing that back in, because the directive of this writing prompt is to use it as many times as I can, but I need to get back to the A section from here. But what I like is I'm at E flat, add 9, and my next chord in the A section is an E add 9. So I'm just sliding up a half step. So I like that. I don't play it up here. I go right back to here in the this first position, but I really like. This song's gonna be really simple. Taking my inspiration from Loomer, they have like an intro with a 2-chord section, a verse and a chorus, and then the intro and the verse and the chorus. And so I'm actually gonna do even less. I'm gonna do verse, chorus, verse, chorus. We're gonna get in, make our point, and get out. For lyrics, I was thinking a lot about, because of the lyrics of Loomer, and also I graduated from high school 30 years ago this June, and my oldest is graduating high school right now. We're going through all of the meetings and ceremonies and that sort of thing. And the subject matter of Loomer is about it. It resonated with me when I was a kid, because it's like you're going to this party and you just feel alienated. My own time in high school, that resonated with me. It's something you even still carry with you. I went to a funeral a few years ago for a friend from high school, and there were older kids, and I hadn't thought of some of they were older kids. They're older than me when I was a kid, and now they're just older than me as adults. I've lived a whole 30 years since I left high school, but when I got back in at the funeral, they still had this weird, like, talking to them, this weird, the dynamic, like almost like a power. And it was really weird that if I had just met them in regular life, they just would have been, my peers or colleagues or friends or passerbys. But because I knew them back when I was trying to make my way through school, and they're a little older than me, there was this weird dynamic going on. And so thinking about that in the lyrics, thinking about how important things seemed at the time when I was a kid, and how much power it held over me. And then after I left, how quickly I left my hometown. I got outside of it. It gave a perspective where it was like, oh, I don't have to care about that stuff anymore. Now, when I got back into it, all of a sudden that dynamic was back. So it's nice to be out. So as always, when I write one of these songs, I make a backing track so that I can send an MP3 to my bandmates and see if they like it. See if it's something they're interested in pursuing, and to give them an idea of kind of how I think it goes. It's never written in stone. It's usually it's to create a form, but this could get totally blown apart, after 2 rehearsals. For the result, we're going to get out of this room. We're going to go outside, and I'm going to show you some of the sights around my little town here in Maine, and put the lyrics up on the screen, and I hope you like it. And if you have any feedback, please throw it below. As always, I do thank you for your time and attention, and I do hope to see you next week.